This is the Roger Report live on the entertainment side, and I have checked out the movie Dangerous Animals. Dangerous Animals, a very interesting movie. The tale of a seaman, tale of a fisherman, tale of a entertainer, a tale of a guy who's quite the character, a very interesting man with very interesting views. This is the story of Tucker, y'all. Tucker is a person, of course, he does it for locals, but of course, you're going to get a lot of folks who are going to come in from out of town. He takes you out on a little boat. He drops, animal parts and blood and whatnot into the ocean. So the sharks smell blood and come. And you can quote unquote swim with the sharks. Well, not really swim. You're kind of caged in, but he allows you to see the sharks in a more up close and personal level. Interesting thing for anyone to do. But what happens when Tucker, or the guy who's the captain of his boat that allows you to see the sharks, what happens when he a little bit off? What happens when he's a little bit off? Well, that's what Tucker's life is all about. He is a little bit off, and he believes that the God of this world is truly under the sea, and the sharks are rulers of this undersea world where God truly is, and God must be respected. So I guess in his own kind of way, he wants to pay homage to these gods of the sea, the sharks. So he comes off as a regular guy. Nothing gonna stick out, as far as his personality or whatever. You have to see him in private to really see anything a little bit off about the guy. But you know, people ain't gonna see that right away. And Tucker takes advantage of that because Tucker likes to grab unsuspecting young ladies and feed them to the sharks. An interesting hobby, I would say, a very interesting hobby. And you know what? Tucker's good with it because he not only will he feed you to the sharks, he will videotape it and watch it again later as he eats his own food. Tucker is not necessarily of sound mind. He's of sound body, but not necessarily of sound mind. So Tucker is just an interesting guy who happens to live off the coast. And you know what? Anybody can fall for these particular traps. So, this is a very interesting story, and Tucker collects some victims. Now, he's had some victims over time. You won't see all the victims, but you will see the evidence of previous victims that he will dangle a woman over the sharks and eventually drop them in. So, man, this guy is about his business at the end of the day. Some weird business, but hey, some people have interesting hobbies. And again, it seems like he wants to pay homage to these gods of the sea, where he believes life began and life shall end. So, a very interesting thing. So now Zephyr happens to get picked up one day and becomes a potential victim. And we see the story truly of Zephyr fighting to either be a victim, somehow get away. Zephyr meets another person who's already been captured. And can you save her? Can you save yourself? Will anybody hear us? Will anybody come save us? But Tucker's not a rookie, y'all. He likes to get girls who are pretty much by themselves, who people will not look for. He has an interesting way of going about these different things, but that's his preferred victim. So, you know, Zephyr meets Heather, who's already in his he already done caught her up when she gets taken up. And now you have a story of people trying to get away from death. Okay. You have Heather meets a gentleman named Moses, but not really in a relationship, y'all. They kind of do a one night stand type of thing. So Moses is interested in her, but he doesn't know her like that. And it's hard to, get people and you don't really know, you want to explain it to the police. But I will say this, y'all, they did have a nice little search. The police did go out there and try to save this unknown white girl with a name like Zephyr. And the guy who came in looking for her, Moses, couldn't even tell her the last name. So it was an interesting way. And when we see how relentless Tucker is, okay, because even his own quote unquote friends aren't safe from him. So Tucker's a very interesting guy, made for a very interesting story, a thriller where you really don't know who's gonna make it and who's not gonna make it at the end of the day. So great story, great. It wasn't a copy of any movie that I've seen, y'all. This was a very interesting story with a very interesting guy with a very interesting hobby. And all I can say is if you end up on this boat, good luck to you. So definitely an interesting story. Now, this is a thriller, the first thriller I'm reviewing on this particular channel. So it's going to be at the top of the list right now. So Dangerous Animals is going to go to the first space spot when it comes to the thrillers. But I think it's definitely a movie worth a watch. You should enjoy if you enjoy thrillers. Yeah, everyone's a little bit interested in this one, but that's the way I see it. I'm Roger, I'm right, and I'm out.